Hello and welcome to the show. I am here on Forza 6 with another autocross car build. My vehicle today is the Mercedes 190e, a car that I reckon could be pretty damn good around the autocross course. We have seen quite a few of these running versus the communities over the years. They've tended to be very, very good handling cars. Seen lots of very good handling 190es. They have tended, though, to be mullered by the lack of straight line speed in them. Now, for what we're going to be doing for autocross, that's not going to be a problem. Easy to build a handling car with this, and I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that that is going to be the case when I try and turn this to autocross. I do have a slight conundrum over what on earth I'm going to do with the engine. We'll get to that a little bit later. We're going to put all the handling parts on the car first. Of course, race tyres. 265 front tyre width is not too bad at all on here, and we're going to have 285s on the rear. It's not bad, certainly for handling kind of A-class cars, that's not bad. Certainly, nowhere near as impressive as the Corvette that went last time. That had, I think, 285s on the front. So, yeah, okay, we've not quite got the same kind of tyres as we had from the Corvette. These handling parts are keeping the PI relatively nice and low on the Mercedes, which is good. I mean, the weight is at the moment £2,900. We've still got weight reduction to come for this car. So, thinking that we could have a relatively light vehicle in this one. Yes, the roll cage is going to stick the weight up a tiny bit. If the game is ever going to, there we go, you're going to finally put the roll cage in, and now we're going to dump all of the weight out, down to £2,653. That's pretty good on the weight front. Okay, it's nowhere near as light as some of the cars that we have seen, but it's never quite likely to challenge some of the incredibly lightweight classics that have, oopsie, I just did that on, I did that automatic. Okay, right, we can't have, there's no Forza wing, there's just the normal ones. Obviously that comes with adjustable downforce. We can take it off, gives us lots more PI taking it off, because it reduces drag, gives us more straight line speed, but that's not a concern for autocross, so the giant rear wing can stay. This is where the tough choices are, because, okay, the standard engine is pretty good. I am tempted by the turbo rally engine. It has got phenomenal torque, can be very, very good, but only in certain circumstances. I'd much prefer it in a four-wheel drive car, especially seeing as we don't quite have the largest of tyres with this. I fear that it would be too uncontrollable. I also fear that it might actually be too much to try and think about with the turbo rally engine and dealing with autocross and everything all at once. Kind of scared of using that engine. Probably wouldn't prefer it in this Mercedes. We could go for the 3.2 litre i6, powered by 2000 GT in the last versus the community. Good engine. Okay, we can't go for the V8, so the V8 sticks as well into S-Class, lots of power from the Ferrari engine there. So it's kind of a choice, do we go for the 3.2 i6, or do we keep the engine standard? I think we might stick with the standard engine. I mean, this is £100 heavier. We might actually be able to get this car down to a relatively low weight. The turbo rally engine, I probably will use it at some point, but it'll be with a four-wheel drive car. I don't trust it with this Mercedes, quite frankly. Right, so that is all of them parts on. This is kind of just being a case of how light can I get this particular car. I don't really want to have to do an aspiration swap unless it is absolutely necessary for this car. I'm just looking at the power figures. It's not going to be the most amazingly powerful car that we have had here, but that is perhaps not too surprising. 300 horsepower is getting up there. We are struggling a little bit for PI with this. We may end up having to... no, tell a lie. These aren't adding massive amounts of power, but it is just about enough to keep jumping out. Down to £2,581. What have we not done in here? We haven't done these. I'm feeling quite confident about this vehicle. I definitely think it was the right way to go to not faff about with the turbo rally. We haven't got anywhere near the torque that you get from the turbo rally, but this will be a much more usable power, certainly for the autocross, and we are much lighter with all of this. 372 horsepower, not a huge amount of torque at 287, relatively light. I'm hoping for plenty of grip. I'm hoping for plenty of corner grip. It might, I suspect it will have perhaps a lack of acceleration, certainly, compared to some of the monsters we've had, but make up the times through the corners. That's my best guess with this car. So we are here to the Hockenheim circuit, ready for the Mercedes 3 runs through the Autocross course. Now our current target time is a 2:05.5 set by the Corvette last time out. Can the Mercedes go quicker than the Chevrolet? I think it would be impressive if it could. I reckon this could certainly maybe challenge the top lot. Whether it's quite going to be enough to dethrone the Corvette or challenge the Beetle, I don't know. I think we may be down on acceleration, but let's find out in this car. A little bit more wheel spin off the line than I was perhaps expecting. Oh, it does get changed direction very nicely through that first gate. The back end did feel a little looser than I guess I would ideally like, but it's certainly not letting go. We're certainly not having big oversteer moments. How is the grip through here? It's good. It's very good through that section. Again, lovely change of direction. Brakes seem powerful as well at bringing this car under control through these gates. It is, yeah, it's a little slidey. There is a little bit of a wiggle going on from the rear end. You can't quite push it in the same way that you could with the Corvette. The Corvette was so lovely and planted. This, not quite. Got to be a little bit more wary. It's not massive. It's not like the RX-7 quite. Straight line speed is good. I had nothing to fear with that. That was almost up to 120 miles an hour. That's a little bit quicker than the Corvette down there. That's very good going from the 190E. I just fear maybe the wiggly rear end could cause it some problems, but nothing too bad at the moment. Yeah, there's certainly not the traction in this car that we have had from some of the vehicles, but the front end is changing direction very, very nicely. We're going to run a little wide through there. Again, no concerns with being flat out down here, even with that oversteer potentially. The brakes feel very good at getting this stopped, considering this has proved to be pretty damn fast in a straight line. These brakes are doing a very, very good job at stopping the Mercedes. Oh, I've run it. I thought I'd pushed it a little too much there. We did just get away with it. I'm not sure I quite need a dab on the brakes up there. This is fast. This is very, very fast indeed from the 190E, despite a couple of driving errors from me in this one. This is looking like a good car as we come towards the final run. Oh, that was a little... Again, I'm pushing my luck with this car, pushing as hard as I can. A 2:07.3 on the first run. Definitely a few driving mistakes from me in that lot there. It's quick, although a tad oversteery for my liking. On to our second attempt with the 190E, an impressive first run. Just got to try and get the braking points right. I think it's quite tempting. The brakes are very good on this car. I think it's quite tempting, though, to push them a little too hard. So I did see me run a little bit too wide through a couple of the corners. But if I can sort that out, I reckon this is going to be a very, very fast time. You have just got to watch on the traction, I think, is where I'm spinning the wheels up a little bit. It just doesn't quite have the same launch out of the corner that you got from the Corvette, but it's very, very fast through that change of direction. Faster than the Chevy. Not quite as fast as the Beetle, but not much has challenged that Beetle for its sort of speed through that first opening gate. Yeah, it's around here where the rear wheels, it just kind of spins a little bit. It just slides around a tad. You've got to be wary of that. Hey, and again, there's certainly not quite the traction. Plenty of grip though, but it's not unpredictable. It's not like the RX-7, like the Buzzbox, where we had quite a few scary oversteer moments. This one a lot more controllable, a lot more predictable in when it's going to do it. But yeah, it's just something to be wary about. Oh. Trying to make the most of the acceleration down there, and very nearly got myself into trouble, but controlled it. Oh, took that all wrong. I was all out of position a little bit, and there goes that the rear end is wanting to come around and say hello. As I said at the start, I fear that we may lack acceleration. That is not at all the case from this car. Very, very quick. One of the fastest we've had, I think, around here through some of these sections. Great, great straight line speed for this course. I suspect if it was much longer, we may be having some potential problems, but this 190E is certainly holding its own. Now, dare I be flat up here? No, little lift. Going to have a little lift. Don't quite have the grip to take it flat out all the way up there. I think perhaps There was a little out of position moment at one point around here that is going to have cost me some time with the Mercedes as we're going to come through this final slalom. It is lovely. I clipped the gate. It is lovely through there though. Changes direction very, very well. Could do without clipping the gate, mind. But yeah, the change of direction is very, very nice. Okay, one more run. Can I get it quicker? I hope so. On to the final run for the 190E. My fears for this Mercedes are it just lacks that traction. Out of the second gear corners, the low speed stuff, it just wastes that little bit of time spinning its wheels, whereas like the Corvette and the Beetle, they just boot it and go. And that, I fear, is a little problem. And it's kind of a surprising one. Of all the things that I thought this car may have issues with, that certainly wasn't among the top ones. Acceleration is very, very impressive in this car, gets up to speed quickly. I mean, the rear end is lovely implanted through here. You know, that's challenging the Beetle for speed through that first gate. That's very, very impressive. Now, they're at 111 miles an hour through that change of direction. Puts it probably the second fastest car we've had go down that part of the course. And I mean, the front end gets turned in absolutely exquisitely to these corners, but it's just out of some of the lower speed stuff where we don't quite have the traction. And yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Straight line speed is impressive down there. It's almost 120. I don't know if it quite flicked to it. I had to concentrate on on braking zones, but yeah, it's very, very fast. I really thought that this may have issues with straight line speed, but that is absolutely not the case in the 190E. The brakes are great at getting it slowed down. Just got to watch for that wheel spin as we now come towards the latter half of the lap. Got to be careful with the throttle through there. Easy to get it slightly sliding. Flat out through that part, no problem. We have seen a few oversteery cars have issues there. It's not so much oversteer really with the 190E. It's just the traction issues. That was also stupidly close to the to the barrel. I had a minor heart attack down that part of the course. Get it stopped for the hairpin. The rear end's going, trying to get on that power. See, with the likes of the Corvette or the Beetle, you can just jump on it and you go. Whereas with this, you're fighting the car, just trying to get that little bit more grip out of it. Okay, only a few more gates to go with the 190E. We're running a little bit too wide through there. This is where it does excel. It is fantastic. Changing direction down here. Flat out on the throttle. It's going to be quick. Is it quick enough? It's not quite. To 6.4. It's not quite enough to challenge the Corvette and the Beetle. It is a good time though. It's a very good time from this car, and I think it is just let down by that traction. It had a big twitch going through the hairpin. That would have cost it a little bit. I don't think it would have cost it enough to challenge the top cars. But that traction is what lets it down ever so slightly. It's only a little thing, but when pushed really, really hard around a course like this, just lets it down. I mean, the speed is phenomenal from this car. The acceleration, the cornering, the brakes are good as well. But it is let down a little bit by that traction still though, and a very, very impressive time to do a 206.4. It will put it into 4th place on our table. It manages to break that big group of classic cars that had led the way, or break up a little bit at least, the big group of classic cars that is leading the way here. A very, very solid vehicle. A very solid vehicle indeed. I mean, it goes quicker than the Datsun 2000. That Datsun was a mental car. Not quite as fast as the Silvia and so on. And yeah, it's the traction. The traction that does it. I'm surprised with its, relative lack of power and torque and decent sized rear tyres. I'm surprised that would be a thing with a Mercedes, but there it is. It can hold its own. The rear end stays planted through those high-speed stuff. But yeah, it's the traction that is the slight issue with this car. Still a very, very impressive autocross vehicle, nevertheless. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.